do tonight. I know it's late. My wife and I were on a date, so the last 2 days we were on dates, and it went late in the evenings. Um, the reason I didn't post anything yesterday, so this is for days 4 and 5. Um, my sister sent me a text and was like, "Scott, you might not want to talk about your subject," and I'm like, so I started thinking about it, and then a lot of times when people send me stuff or they give me ideas, I sit there and reflect on them. And so I was reflecting on it. I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to go this a little different direction. And I was talking to my wife about it earlier today and a few of my friends. And I'm going to talk about leadership, what it is to be a leader, and what it is to be a bad leader, a good leader, and one of the greatest leaders. And what I've come over the last almost 40 years, I turned 46 in August of last year. And over the course of those years, I spent time in the service. I was in the Air Force. Spent 4 years in the Air Force. Part of that time is in Saudi Arabia during Desert Storm. Had some amazing leaders there. Took on some leadership roles, taught me a lot of stuff, and then drove 18 wheelers for a few years over the road. Didn't really have a leadership or really a boss other than my dispatcher, and I had some good ones and I had some bad ones. It was just solitude, and I found I had to be around people. So I left that and became a surveyor. And I had a lot of different bosses. I had bosses that were my immediate bosses, which was my party chief, to the our boss of the head of the survey department, and then the head of the company. And had some really good party chiefs, and I had some not so great party chiefs. And then over the course of the years, I've done a couple of different multi-level marketing businesses. Started with Amway. Now I'm doing started with Young Living with my wife, and then I decided to run my own advertising business, and that just flopped. Definitely did not have good leaders there. They said one thing to get you in, and then they said, "Okay, you got to go through all this training, and now you got to find all your clients." And when I got signed up, they were like, "We're going to support you. We're going to give you some clients to get you going." And that's a bad leader, is they tell you one thing and then they do something totally different. So, and then been a teacher and got an engineering degree and had some great professors that could be considered good leaders and great leaders. And then became a high school math teacher. And between my mentors to head of our math departments to curriculum coaches, assistant principals to principals, just the administration has some really good ones, has some bad ones. And through the whole course of the time from when I started my first network marketing business with Amway, I started doing personal development and personal growth. And I've done everything from seminars to leaderships to 90-day goal setting programs. And each thing has taught me something a little different. I'm listening to podcasts every morning now. I listen to quote of the day. If I don't do it in the morning, I do it before I go to bed. I listen to audiobooks. I read books, not just novels. I love sci-fi, action, adventure. I mean, I'm a Stephen Kuntz fan, Flight of the Intruder, Dale Brown, Flight of the Old Dog, Day of the Cheetah, those type of stuff, Star Wars. I grew up, I love Star Wars. Seen all the movies opening day since 1977, so I've got a lot of history of Star Wars. Just some other novels that I love to read. I love to read action, sci-fi, and military adventures. And then I was like, one of my mentors goes, "Scott, you need to read this book. It's How to Win Friends and Influence People." I have an audiobook now because of the fact that I am typically most days too busy to sit down and read a book. I'm planning lessons. I am grading. I'm calling students. I'm calling parents. Spending time with my wife. Exercising because I have a couple of big goals coming up. Hiking Mount Humphreys in September, and then in November doing a terrain race. And so a lot of times I'm too busy to sit down and read a book. So I got them on Audibles. And now with my top 5 guys that have been my accountability partners and have been supporting me in the last 4 months, they're like, "Scott, if you want to hang out with us, you got to do this, this, and this." And I'm like, "Okay, I'll do that, that, and that." Why? Because it's important to me. And so this is just my perspective. This is the stuff that I've learned, like I said, over almost the last 30 years. Can say my young age and my teenage years, I had a lot of great leaders other than my parents. My parents were amazing leaders. Even my father. My father did his best, and with his shortfalls, he did his best. I have to put it that way. So a bad leader. A bad leader is one that micromanages, one that will tell you to do one thing and then change their mind and do something else. And if you're set in your ways, they'll say, okay, we're going to do this now without giving you the how and why, or if the how and why is even feasible. It's like, that doesn't make sense to do it that way. It's like, if you do it this way and we're doing it this way and it's efficient and we're making great success, why change it? Just because they wanted to have it done their way? No. That's a bad leader. Bad leaders are the ones that put people at risk. Bad leaders are people that cause financial hardship. Those are bad leaders. Good leaders are bouncing between the great and the bad. They sometimes do really good stuff. Sometimes they do really bad stuff. And so, here's one example of a good leader. I had a party chief that did his best, and because he did his best, we worked really well together. The bad part of being a good leader, or being that good leader, I'm saying is you did some great stuff and you did some bad stuff. The bad stuff is we were working a weekend, and it was a rainy day, so we had to call it quits, and so we headed back to the shop and put all the trucks away, and everyone was meeting in the storage shed, and next thing you know, illegal drugs were coming out, and I'm like, no, you could do whatever you want. However, I'm leaving, and I left, and I came in the next morning and told my supervisor, which was the chief of parties, which is in charge of all the survey crews, what happened, and I expressed to him that, hey, my dad's in law enforcement, and I asked him what I should do. This is what I'm doing. I'm not going to name names because I'm not wanting to get people. I didn't want to get anyone really in trouble. It's just I had to say my piece. And the reason I had to say my piece is I found out that the illegal drugs, and it's now because of what's passed, it was marijuana, and it's legal now in Arizona. It just, back then, it wasn't. And I found out that my party chief, had it in the truck and a cooler and the back seat. And I was like, no, I don't think so. It's like, if you want me to work with them, I'll work with them. However, certain things have got to change. Things changed, and we forgave each other about that day, and he's actually still one of my friends, and he's a good guy. He is a really good guy. Just some people make bad choices. I made bad choices. I made a lot of bad choices, and I'm not saying I'm the greatest leader. I'm probably a good leader right now, and I'm still learning and I'm still growing. Great leaders are like Jimmy Doolittle. He took a risk. He got a group of guys together during World War II after Pearl Harbor, trained them to launch medium-sized bombers off an aircraft carrier to hit Japan, and everyone said it was impossible. He was like, no, we can do this. It's feasible. We can do this. We got to get the right crews. We have to get the right aircraft. We have to do this. And he got the plan going. I've read his book, and it's phenomenal what he did. And then when they got captured, he got the crews together. And if I remember right, this past year was the last of the Doolittle Raiders. The last one passed away. You guys can see it on my background right there. My father got it's a signed picture or painting of all the existing Doolittle Raiders when they made that painting on my wall, and they all signed it. And every year on the anniversary, they would get together and crack open I think it was scotch. I'd have to go back and look at that one. They cracked it open to salute everyone that has passed. And when the last one got to being him by himself. He saluted, and then it was his time to go. Another great leader, Muhammad Ali. He went through a lot of stuff. He went through a lot of stuff physically, emotionally. I got to see his story. I think it was on Netflix or Amazon, and it was amazing to see the stuff he had to go through. Not only as a boxer, as a African American man growing up in the United States with his family, and then going, I think he went back to Africa, and then George, beating George Foreman. I mean, there's just a lot of different things that he influenced people. When you influence someone to do something better and greater than themselves, that's a great leader. Because you're not telling them you have to do it this way. It doesn't have to be my way. It can be your way. And so it's just like NASA. NASA back in the 50s and 60s set, and John F. Kennedy said, we're going to the moon. Everyone's like, really? Sure? Are you sure? Another great leader, John F. Kennedy. And then NASA got involved and put a man on the moon. Not only one man, two men. In the lunar module, there's two guys in there. Not just one, there were two. Third guy's up in the command module, flying around the moon, making sure that everything's being broadcasted back to Earth in the United States. There's a lot of great leaders out there. One of the greatest that I had in my life was my dad's, both of them. Like I said, my father, he had a short temper. He had some issues. However, he did the best he could. He taught me a lot of stuff. He taught me how to survey. He taught me about math. He taught me how to build model aircraft. He taught me to do a lot of stuff. I know how to do cement work because of him. Part of growing up with my Uncle Danny was laying block. And we went to a friend of his house, Jay Porter, up in Prescott. Jay passed away. I miss him. He used to go hunting with him. And we built him a barbecue pit. And I'm telling you right now, that barbecue pit, 30 years, 50 years, 100 years from now, it's still going to be there. It's going to be in that place unless they bulldoze it, because we put enough cement in the bottom of it. It's not going to move. And another great leader is my dad, my stepdad. I call him my dad because of the fact that he's known me since I was about 8, and he's been there for me. I call him at 2 o'clock in the morning, Dad, I was out drinking with my friends. He'll be there. Yeah, I might get reamed the next morning. However, he will pick me up, no questions asked. He's done stuff for me that I wish my father would do sometimes. And that's the difference. They're night and day. And another one of my great leaders is one of my mentors in school, or to become a teacher. She taught me a lot to become a teacher. I came in with a lot of knowledge of math. I love math. I can do math in my sleep, and I love it. That's one reason I became an engineer. And she walked me through the steps on how to relate to my students, because I deal with high-level math. I deal with solving math problems, not with just a calculator, with my head, and problem-solving stuff, and analyzing and reflecting. And she taught me to bring my level down just a little bit so I can talk common knowledge instead of talking about detailed terminology that students are like, huh? What do you mean? I don't understand that. And I would get upset or frustrated for no reason. And then I learned how to become a better teacher. And now I can say where I'm at now, I am a better teacher. So another great leader is my old curriculum coach. She's at a different school right now, and she taught me to be passionate. She taught me to think not only outside the box, to strive to think outside the box. She had me attempting so many different programs, so many different stuff, that every time I did something new, it was just like my students enjoyed it. And she guided me in that way. And that's what made her a great leader, is because I would go to her and say, hey, this isn't working. We need to do something totally different. She'd be open to it. Even if it's the middle of what we teach by quarters. Even if it was in the middle of the quarter, and it would mess up my schedule because I get in such a groove that I want to bounce out of it. Sometimes I have to, and she'd be all for it. She goes, as long as you are taking care of your students, you're getting through the curriculum, go for it. Now, I have administrators that are around me right now that things weren't working out to benefit not only me, my students, and when I decided to change things up, sometimes yes, sometimes you. And one of the things I've learned over the years is sometimes you need to get things done if you need to get them done, and then ask for forgiveness later. It's one of the things the military taught me, and I did that. And yeah, my administrators weren't happy about it. My students were actually enjoying it because things were set to where they were able to come to class, take care of, understand what's going on, and be focused on that and not anything else. It allowed me to get the grading done I need to get done, set my lessons up a lot easier, and spend less time spend less time assigning assignments because we're working with a program like a lot of schools are. It's called Google Classroom. Google Classroom is designed for individual class periods. That's what it's set up for. We're doing 2 class periods in one class, and I have to go in and assign student. It's just a mess. And so when things were happening and then we had something else come up and it got me out of my groove. However, it wasn't planned by me, and I expressed to my administration that I like it my way because I'm efficient that way. And I need to be efficient because, like I was talking to you a couple of days ago, is I have to set up a whole entire algebra class from scratch. And I don't have time to adjust to other things because I need to focus on this one thing. And that's what, when I started thinking about it, I was like, that's where leadership is. Leadership will tell you who's a good leader, who's a bad leader, and who's a great leader. Now, for myself, like I said, I'm still a good. The reason I feel I'm still a good is I still have a lot to learn. The reason I have a lot to learn is because I'm still inspiring people. Sometimes it has to be done my way. And one of the things of being a good leader is not always my way. And so I'm going to leave with this question. I want you to, if you are following me on Facebook or YouTube, especially YouTube, subscribe at Bottster Comback. Bottster Vitality Comback. That's my channel. Subscribe. Keep following me, because I'm going to be picking different topics each day and talking about it. What it represents to me, and that's how I feel I can become a better leader, even in myself. Because if I can talk about subjects that I know or I don't know, maybe I have to go and do some research on a topic. I have a friend of mine, Andy. He was like, Scott, if you want to interview me, you're going to lead it. And I was like, oh, crud. I have to come up with the topic. And I know he's good at a lot of things. He's really good at financial stuff. He got me into the Dave Ramsey class and learned about Dave Ramsey's methods. And my wife and I are doing that. And so there's certain things that I'm going to be inviting guest speakers in for and talking about what makes them a great leader and what makes them a person that I want to have other people be inspired by. And he told me the other day, actually it was about a month ago, he goes, Scott, you inspire me to do this. And I'm like, really? I didn't do anything. All I've been doing is focusing on me. And he goes, yeah, you're focusing on you, and it's inspiring me because now I'm seeing the change in you. And I was talking to my friend Scott the other day, and he goes, Scott, telling me Scott, we're both Scott. He's about 4 inches taller than me though, and he's a little more trimmed up than me because he works out a little bit longer than I have. However, he's a really good friend, and he's one of my accountability partners. And he was telling me, Scott, that it's like, I've seen you grow. I've seen you change. Your emotional, your mental, and your physical are starting to change for the better. And it made me like, oh, wow. If people are noticing that, that's the reason I'm doing this. And the reason I'm doing this is because I have a story to tell. And I have a lot of experience. I have, like I said, Air Force, truck driving, land survey. I was a parts driver. I delivered food for a while, just to make some ends meet while I was in school. Went to college finally. It took me almost 20 years to figure out that it was that right time to go to college. It's like I got out of high school and I wanted to go in the military. That was my path that I needed to go, and I got injured, and it forced me out before I can complete my passion, which is always flying. I actually made it to Loadmaster, qualified for it, and got injured, and then got discharged. before I can fly in the brand new C-17s when they were brand new. Now you see them every day. When I was in, it was a prototype, just like the B-2 stealth bomber. They went active, and that's the time period I was in. So I have a lot of things to share, and that's the whole reason I'm on here, is I want to inspire people and become a better leader myself and help other people be leaders of themselves. Not just health and fitness, just in their everyday lives. So, like I said, follow me, subscribe on YouTube and I'll put a note in here at Bottster Vitality Comeback. You can follow me with hashtags if you want. It's hashtag Bottster Comeback. My wife and I have one. It's hashtag Bottster Vitality. You can find us there. And we're still setting up our website for essential oils. And if you're ever interested in essential oils, shoot me a message. I can tell you all about them. I love them to death. I've been in the next couple of days, I'm gonna be showing you what my knee looks like because when I took that spill, it was solid red and it was all scratched up and everything. And been using essential oils on it and it's looking a heck of a lot better. So follow me, and I appreciate everyone subscribing. And I've got a few subscribers now, and I'm like I said, I just want to help people out. It's my passion in my life. That's the reason I'm a teacher. That's the reason I was an instructor in the military. So I'll talk to everyone later. And this is day 4 and 5. Talk to everyone later. Bye.